Well, if you've ever dreamed of being on stage as an actor, singer, dancer, maybe a writer, director, producer, or working backstage on a movie, TV show, or play, here's your chance to get some tips from someone who knows what he's talking about. He spent a long time in the business, actor Timothy Busfield, who was the star. You've seen him in 30-something, Field of Dreams, and West Wing. He has presented his second annual Performing Arts Warm-Up at Michigan State University. Get all that right, Tim?
Yeah, you did, Greg. It was perfect.
Thanks. We're so happy, so thrilled to have you on WWJ and back in Michigan again, too. So how's the adjustment been moving back home for you, really?
Effortless, really. I've been back for about 5 years, living back here for 5 years. But I also spent a great deal of my career up in Sacramento, where I created a nonprofit organization, a professional theater that toured the schools, and then a 220-seat adult theater, and then another 100-seat theater, and raised my kids up there. So I've never been a big guy to live in L.A.
You're not a Hollywood guy, really.
I like to go in. I enjoy it when I go in and work and get out. Yeah. I don't want to be there between jobs. It's like living at the mall and working at the mall to me. Get out of the mall. So I prefer to live away, and I'm at a point in my career where I can sort of pick and choose on projects. So,
all right. Well, let's talk about your second annual. So I guess you had one before.
We did.
Who's this warm up for? Then?
Well, it's really for all kids ages probably 8 through a 3rd grade through 12th grade. Last year we did K-12, but the whole idea of it is to give young students confidence to make theater their extracurricular activity. There's so many kids that don't fit into the sports world anymore. As a varsity athlete, I was 5'9" and about 140 pounds. You don't find that anymore. Yeah. These kids are already stallions.
They're all 300 pounds.
Well, they're big, and so there's a lot of kids that want to play and do things for, selling hot dogs and popcorn and be a part of an event, as it were, and theater supplies that. So we show the kids how to dance, how to sing, and how to audition, and we spend time with the littler kids, teaching them to play improv games and just get them up on their feet. And get them experiencing the process so they'll have the confidence to go out. And last year was such a huge success that we have a second one. We already have 250 kids signed up. Last year we had about 200, and this is when all the signees come in, these first few days of school and the last week before we go. So it's going to be great.
So in your material it said you teach them how to get the bad out. What is that?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of bad habits that are created or an opportunity to experience stuff so you can improve. In sports, you can't just say, hey, I want to be the best baseball player on the team, pick up a glove and go play. You have to actually practice the sport. In soccer, you have to practice the sport. But people have a feeling in our business that, hey, I watch it on TV, I can go do this. Mm-hmm. But they don't practice anything. So we want to teach them a process to practice good habits so they can get the bad out. It goes all the way from up through college. These kids come to New York and L.A. with 2 plays in college and 2 plays in high school, and they think they're ready to go after it. And it's a sport to us that work. It's not an art form that is this elusive, really cool thing to do. You're talking about people, there's a 12-hour day in film and TV. In theater, there's an 8 to 9 hour day. And you work as much as you possibly can, and you have to think of it like an athlete. So I try to bring that mentality to these kids so they can relate to it, and it's working.
So you mentioned extracurricular. Is that how you view it? I mean, I'm sure there are kids in there who think about they want to make this as a career. Do you talk about that? I mean, because society would tell us, okay, you need to be an engineer or a computer nerd, not a ballerina or a singer.
No, I absolutely not. I think, the only time I would ever discourage somebody would be intentionally saying to them to discourage them to get them off their tail. But in high school, it should be an extracurricular activity. It's an extracurricular activity to play sports. You might want have aspirations of going to be a pro, but in high school, you need to go play 8 games a year, 10 games a year for 4 years. Then you need to go to college and play 10 to 14 games a year. And by the time you get to the NFL, you will have played 100, 150 football games. And I want these kids to have, at least 20, 30 plays under their belt and how to make a short movie. On the second day, we teach them how to make movies. So it's really just the fundamentals. You as an actor understand the simple fundamentals as an actor of listening and only talking to the person that you're talking to and being real and authentic and not fakey and overperformy. Those are qualities which can gain a financial upside to you if you're good enough at it. So the good fundamentals, the basic fundamentals are what we're teaching in dance and singing, and everybody kind of shakes it out and says, hey, before I nix the idea of auditioning for a musical, I just learned how to dance and I just learned how to sing a little bit, and I'm warmed up, and that's why we call it a warm up, and I'm ready to try out for the school plays or clubs.
That's probably a good parallel when you're talking about, high school kids or college kids in the NFL, which is one out of a million or something that might make it. And it's probably the same with acting in terms of how many from Michigan might make it in Broadway or L.A. I mean, we have Sutton Foster and a couple we can think of here locally, but not a whole lot. The odds are against you, but you still need to try.
Well, there's
it
there's probably more than you think. I mean, I've personally worked with Laura Innes and Curtis Armstrong are great friends of mine, and they're from here, and I work with them a lot. And I think you have to approach it, though, realistically. You have to be the best. Don't dream about it. Try it. You have to be the best in your high school or one of the best to be, and then you go to college and you're not one of the best. Then you have to work your way up to be one of the best in college, and then you go to the pros where you're not one of the best. And then if you have the skills, you can work your way up. But even at the professional level, you have to practice the fundamentals over and over again. And we're in a day and age now where we can do that because we have cameras that don't need light. We can shoot our own movies. They have phones that can record an image and sound that could be used on a big screen. So we have the tools. We just need the inspiration.
Yeah, so that makes it easier, doesn't it? I mean, everybody's got an iPhone, and so you can do it.
You can do it. You can cross shoot. If you take an iPhone and you see you had two friends in the back seat shooting over one side towards the driver and one side towards the passenger, and staying out of each other's frames so they didn't see each other, you could shoot a whole movie driving in a car and then edit it and put it up on YouTube and get a look at yourself and see what you need to improve on. Those days weren't there for us before. The processing of film took days. The editing of film was a cut and splice process. It wasn't computerized. But now the kids can do it. They can edit on their phones. So the opportunity for people to improve and grow as storytellers, whether it's the camera or in front of an audience, it's much more accessible than it used to be.
So you're an artist in residence at Michigan State University. So what are you doing then?
Well, I'm teaching a class in filmmaking on the cheap and fast. I've got about 20, 25 students and trying to teach them how to be sort of triple threats or double threats, actor, directors, actor, writer, producers. How can you get things up without needing to push a boulder uphill? I also have a great deal of my contract is with WKAR, where I'm there to develop national content. I'm the director of national content for WKAR, and the president was going to sell the PBS station, and I contacted her and said, when she said we're going to keep it, and she wanted to do original content, I said, let me throw my name in the hat. I've directed several pilots and written pilots, and I'm your probably strongest TV producer in the area of Lansing, in that area. So let me be a consideration, and they chose me, and I'm developing material to whether it airs on the PBS station or whether it airs on Netflix or Amazon, but find a way to get our MSU students' resumes attached to professional work, much like a teaching or a teaching hospital would do. Get a chance to work alongside pros and evolve as a player, and see if you can't leave school with a resume instead of just a class list.
Sure, because we need that here, because unfortunately when the tax credits left Michigan, a lot of the projects here left too, didn't they?
You have to take advantage of, first of all, you can't count on the federal government for anything, especially in the state government when there's deficits there. So people that whine and complain about not having money for the arts or the incentives going away are just, they're whiners. And I have no patience for that. Having run a professional theater that's in its 31st season, Jeff Daniels, the Purple Rose, they don't count on the state of Michigan to survive. Jeff Daniels made it very clear, we're not going to do that. We're going to be able to survive on our own. And companies that are out there that demand on the state of Michigan to allow them to be able to do what they want to do are crazy. because the state has a huge deficit. Our roads are bad. We have water issues. We've got schools growing moss. Why don't you find a way to make your movies and TV shows here without taxing the people of Michigan? I think it's great when it's here. It brings filmmakers here. But in the meantime, I would take advantage of the right to work state possibilities, even if you don't agree with them while they're here. And my wife would scream right now, being a union labor leader. But if that is an opportunity for us to continue to make art, we must continue to go forward and not be backtracked because a governor decides he doesn't want to write a $35 million check to Clint Eastwood.
Right. So you mentioned Jeff Daniels. Have you ever thought about doing that, opening your own theater here?
Not here.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff's got that pretty well cornered. I did look a little bit at the Opera House in Howell. We said, what can we do to help you there, as they want, because it was right around the corner. But I don't think Howell's really interested in turning that around. I think they've got their niche at this time at least. They don't seem too serious about it. And Jeff's got Purple Rose, which is just a fantastic regional theater and one of the best theaters in the country, really, and a New Works theater, so and an Equity theater. So I have no real desire to go up against that, and he's my bro. So,
so now you mentioned we were talking earlier about 30-something. What are you working on now? Why was there never a 50-something or a 60-something as we?
Well,
are you working at that sequel?
I don't think the guys. First of all, the guys who created that show. You look at the great shows, and there's usually someone great. Aaron Sorkin on The West Wing,
right.
Great. Zwick and Herskovitz, those guys were geniuses. They went on to do Shakespeare in Love and Legends of the Fall, and Courage Under Fire, and The Siege, and Last Samurai. They're real filmmakers, and I don't think they're the type of guys that want to step in the same river twice. However, I am going to work for them. They are executive producing Nashville in its final season. They committed to that last year. I think they have a deal at ABC. And I'm going out to direct a show called This Is Us at Paramount for NBC. I'll be out there in the month of October. And that's it. We just, our short film, One Smart Fellow, won Traverse City Film Festival Audience Award for Best Short Film, which is really fun. Melissa and I, my wife, were both up there. So that's really good. But right now I'm focused on the performing arts warm-up. People can go to the East Lansing Public Library website, elpl.org, I think it is, the East Lansing Public Library, and sign up. It's going to be a lot of fun. Drop your kids and pick them up later and buy them a Coney.
And just to sum up then, so you've still got spots open? People can still register?
We're not going to. We're at WKAR on the sound stages at WKAR, so we've got plenty of room. They're big stages, and we outgrew the library. Was under construction, so we got plenty of room. I'll take up to 400 or 500,
wow.
And we're at 250 now, and I'm going on TV in the morning and then the next morning and another radio show. So I'm looking for at least 300, and we're at 250 now. So come on down. We got room for you.
Just from this interview alone, there'll be thousands.
You know what?
Millions,
Greg,
maybe.
that's why I drove all the way down here from Brighton. It took me in L.A. This would have taken, 2 hours?
Yeah, this would have been an all-day adventure in L.A.,
It would have been an
all-day
adventure, but here, 29 miles is 29 minutes, so It was perfect for me.
Timothy Busfield, we love having you here. It's the second annual Performing Arts Warm-Up at KAR Studios in East Lansing, and just Google the East Lansing Library, right?
East Lansing Public Library. Google them. Go sign up on their website, and I guarantee you your kids, last year kids were running up to us in the homecoming parade and hugging us and saying, they loved it. It's really entertaining and fun for the kids, and they don't get bored. It's really great.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, Greg.